End of screen. The battle of rock bands for the loudest concert had been going on for many years. The first blow to the reputation of competitors, as well as to the ears of listeners, was delivered by the band Deep Purple. At their performance in June 1972, the Decibel band appeared at the end of the screen. He appeared at the end of the screen, which appeared at the end of the screen. At their performance in June 1972, they cranked up the power of a specially selected and the ordered equipment to the maximum. Hundreds of spectators found themselves under the impact of this sound wave. Their festive moods suddenly deteriorated for unclear reasons. Many people's well-being worsened. Several people even lost consciousness and had to be literally carried out of the hall. The sound volume in London's Rainbow Theatre that day reached an incredible mark of 117 dB. Both the musicians and their producers achieved their goal. This performance was recorded in the Guinness World Records book as the loudest concert of that time. But it's just rock music. And now you will find out that even the sounds without which we cannot imagine our lives can be dangerous. And if the noise is amplified to a certain power, it might even create a black hole. According to researchers, noise pollution, which is characteristic of large cities nowadays, reduces a person's life expectancy by an average of 10 to 12 years. This exceeds the harm from tobacco smoking by 36%. For example, if there is a road with heavy traffic near your house, you are exposed to noise levels of 50 dB and above that imperceptibly destroy you. This happens even in your sleep. Yes, this level of noise is far from a rock concert, but the World Health Organization believes that attacks of sound waves significantly increase the risk of cardiovascular diseases. And every year around the world, thousands of people die prematurely from such disorders. But we will go further and consider much more terrifying sound attacks. Even during short-term impacts and powerful acoustic waves, with a loudness above 100 dB, damage to the auditory system is possible. 30 dB, a tank shot or the starter of a jet plane. This is the maximum harmful sound interference we can encounter in our lives. Fortunately, it lasts only a few seconds. But if a person falls under the destructive influence, extreme acoustic pressure for long hours, her brain, heart, and internal organs will operate at the limit of their capabilities, releasing a huge amount of hormones, raising blood pressure and pumping liters of blood in maximum load mode. The nervous system will do everything to somehow protect the unfortunate person and cause a loss of consciousness, like it happened to me at that rock concert. Ultimately, the answer to the question of how long a person will live in such a state is very simple. As long as their body has the strength to resist, a person can last a few hours or even a day, but I am sure that none of us intends to find out the answer to this question experimentally. But in the pursuit of technological power, humanity has created even more terrifying sounds. For example, the experimental aircraft Republic XF-84H was so loud that it could be heard from 40 kilometers away. Near the source of the sound, its intensity was enough to knock a person off their feet. The unfortunate crew members inside the plane could not even move. In addition, it caused nausea and headaches. The engineers who worked on the Republic organ experienced convulsions, and it's not surprising as the sound intensity level reached approximately 140 decibels. Fortunately, the air monster did not go into mass production. And here before you is an even more impressive example of an artificial acoustic wave. It is created by the Saturn V launch vehicle, designed to deliver people to the moon. This spacecraft was the main project of the Apollo program, and according to the NASA report, which at launch created a sound with a power of more than 200 decibels. In general, this destructive force is even difficult to call a sound. Acoustic waves of such loudness are not transmitted through the air, but rather push themselves and turn into a devastating shock wave. Fortunately, the sound of this launch vehicle could not kill anyone. In the space industry, very strict safety rules are in place. But the true man-made sources of record-breaking sound are bombs. The Soviet Tsar Bomba is not only the largest energy charge in the history of civilization, but also the most terrifying acoustic impact ever created by humans. The absolute record of all time is 224 decibels. I would like to say that an explosion of such astonishing loudness would kill a person instantly. But you understand yourself that the Tsar Bomba would destroy everyone around, even if it exploded without noise. It's hard to imagine, but it turns out that human creations, not the loudest that the planet has heard in the last hundreds of years. Before you is the Krakatoa volcano. It erupted with lava and magma in 1883. The force of the eruption was such that smoke burst upwards from the crater of the volcano at a speed of 800 meters per second and rose to a height of 27 kilometers. Special measuring instruments were installed 160 kilometers from the volcano, which recorded a sound of 172 decibels. Considering the distance, this is incredibly loud. Hundreds of kilometers away, the sound was louder than the noisiest concert, and according to scientists' calculations, at the epicenter of the explosion, it reached an intensity of 310 decibels. No one would even have time to hear it and try to comprehend this power. People at the epicenter would have died instantly. But the captain of the British ship Norham Castle, whose vessel was 64 kilometers from the volcano, wrote, "The explosions were so strong that half of my crew was left deaf. I was sure that Judgment Day had come." Now let's consider a sound with unreal power, 1100 decibels. But first we need to understand the loudness scale. The fact is that it is not linear, but logarithmic. This means that when the value increases from 10 decibels to 20, the volume does not increase by 2 times, as it might seem obvious, but by 10. Therefore, to achieve the required volume of 1100 decibels, we would need to add 9050 to the sound of a jet plane taking off. Let me say right away, in reality, it is impossible to create anything like this on Earth. This is the volume level at which the shock wave compresses the air so much that it is enough to form a singularity, and therefore small black holes. The weight of each of these holes, the size of a neutron, will be about 5 kilograms. What will happen to them next? I would also like to know the answer to this question. Perhaps they will absorb each other until they merge into one black monster that devours everything. And then it will engulf our planet or star system or the entire galaxy. But still, most scientists agree. The radiation from the Oki will quickly make these artificial holes disappear. So I hope that the end of the world will not be so absurd. I am counting on a more sophisticated apocalypse. And what kind of end of the world would you like? Write in the comments.